October 30th, 2018. Welcome to the Third Down Show. I'm your host, T. Wayne the Don. It's a beautiful day to be back. I apologize for yesterday, guys. I had a different comment on the Monday report. So Monday report will be today from happened over the weekend between Sunday and Saturday. So let's talk a little bit about what happened over the weekend. We will touch bases on, I know the college football playoff system do come out tonight. The poll come out tonight. That's going to be interesting to see. The NFL trade deadline, two major blockbuster trades is coming up. I will discuss my thoughts about both of them at the wide receiver position. I think that's where we're going to start. So let's go ahead on that note. Let's start with the breaking news that happened this afternoon. Demaryius Thomas has now been traded to the Houston Texans, I believe, for a draft pick, and also Golden Tate is now no longer a Detroit Lion. He is a Philadelphia Eagle. The biggest loser in all of this would have to be the New England Patriots, who that was probably the two top guys that they was going for at the wide receiver position. But I think they're still a fan of Pierre Garçon. I'm not too sure about anybody else per se, but I heard last night Pierre Garçon was somebody that they was definitely considering as well if Tate and Demaryius Thomas did not go through. I kind of wanted Demaryius to go to New England because I think he's that big body, solid guy that Tom Brady, it worked well when him and Peyton Manning was together. I think why it couldn't work well with Tom Brady. I think it would have worked perfectly fine. But I like where he's going. This could potentially be probably the best wide receiving core in football next season with a healthy Will Fuller. You got your deep threat, you got your possession, you got your all-out spectacular receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. Think about deep threats with Will Fuller. Y'all are possession, big body guy, be Demaryius Thomas, and just the true athlete at the receiver position. And right now, where Houston is at, who's playing a lot better than what they were to start the season. All of a sudden, Houston find themselves creeping and crawling in the mix. It's like now they are probably looking from this point, I think at 5-3. Looking to try to establish themselves to win the division, because at this moment in time, when you think about what what Jacksonville, with Tennessee, and what the Colts are trying to do at this moment in time, it's not really working so well. So, you got the division right now in the AFC South, 5-3 Houston, 3-4 Tennessee, 3-5 Jacksonville, and 3-5 Indianapolis. And to say Jacksonville was who I predicted to win this division, and I see how Tennessee's still in the hunt, but I don't think they will. I think, to me now, the true best team in this division will have to be the Houston Texans. And whatever's going to happen with Jacksonville at the quarterback position and getting their identity back on defense, which they still can turn around, I think that's where we at right now with the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. So, these are some things that we got to pay attention to. I think that this is something that is something big. And I like what Philadelphia do. Philadelphia really got some names at receiver. I know they've been probably the most banged up story to say they for their Super Bowl run. I know everybody haven't been healthy. I know Alshon Jeffries haven't been healthy. I think Aguilar and all of them, they haven't been healthy. But now you get a guy who's still playing at a high level for 30 years old. To me, he was probably him and Marvin Jones was pretty nice in Detroit. But when it's time to make plays, Golden Tate make plays for you. He's probably one of the best. To me, he's one of the most best underrated receivers in the NFL. He don't get a lot of love compared to everybody else. And I think a lot of that is due to the team that he plays on. He plays for Detroit. He don't play for the bigger name teams in the NFL. So I kind of like what that said. He's going to play for Philly. He's going to help their offense out tremendously this season. From here on out, to give them a chance to try to get back into the playoffs and try to defend their Super Bowl run. So that's going to be interesting to see about a Philadelphia Eagles for sure. So I like that one. I like that move. I think there's still going to be more moves. This is starting to turn. A few years ago, you never used to see football turn into what the NBA is at the trade deadline, where they start making a lot of trades and stuff like that. But now I think since teams see how close they are, And if teams see how lackluster college football talent going into the draft, I think they'd rather just use their draft picks and try to get some other people on their team to try to get a good playoff run for the season. And you saw that with New Orleans, and I see even Kansas City is thinking about going after Jarek Jenkins from not Detroit, from the New York Giants. And I mean, once again, Kansas City is in a spot that might put them over the top. So it's a lot of what if right now. Definitely a lot of what if right now. I will tell you that. But I like what's going on. And this is truly a blessing for some teams right now in the middle of their season who try to go over the top not only in their conference, but to handle their business in the division. Philadelphia right now, who's still find themselves in the hunt, because the NFC East really not that great this year. Now Washington is 5-2 at the moment in time, but Philadelphia is 4-4, Dallas 3-4, and the Giants 1-7. So all you really got to compete with is two other teams right now. So you're in a good spot if you're Philly, and I think that's why they went out and got the trade. They had a playmaker to come help them outside on the perimeter. He can line up on the outside, he can line up in the slot. You never know, he might be doing some other things good for you. You never know. I just think that they got a plan to do something with Golden Tate at this point in the season right now. And I know Denver, and seeing how it look right now, I think Denver is officially, when they're trading Demaryius Thomas, is trying to set themselves up for the future. I just read that Von Miller and Emmanuel Sanders was not too happy that they traded him. Remember, Demaryius Thomas was the best player on the field back in Super Bowl, I want to say 47, I believe, in New York when they played the Seattle Seahawks. I think he had 9-10 receptions, I believe, or over 100-something yards in the touchdown. He was the only one that showed up that day for the Super Bowl that day against the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, that was probably the nightmare from hell for Denver that year. So, I like it. I definitely like it. So, I think, and I think this is going to definitely help Houston. I mean, that's going to take some pressure off of, DeAndre Hopkins. Because he got a true, and I think Will Fuller took some pressure, but this is going to take more pressure off of him because now that you have another Pro Bowler on the outside. And I don't think Houston ever had something like this before with two Pro Bowl wide receivers like this. So I like what they're doing, and this is going to be fun to watch. And this is something that I'm not surprised about because I remember when Denver can't remember the young man's name that they drafted, but I remember watching the draft early in the year. And I remember when Denver, when they made the comment saying that John Elway was drafting more wide receiver talent, trying to put his receivers on notice, and now all of a sudden he's trading away. To me, probably him. I like Emmanuel Sanders, I do, but I always was a bigger fan of Demaryius Thomas. But I think Demaryius Thomas play depend on the quarterback play that he have as well. And now that he's going to play with a guy who's a lot younger, who have a lot of upsides, who's going to probably be one of the best in the league in a few years, I think this is going to help out Demaryius Thomas' game tremendously. So y'all just stay tuned in for that. More and more, because I think we're going to see before 4 o'clock maybe a few more trades that's going to happen in the NFL. All right, so y'all know, if y'all remember when I used to play this is normally for the Cleveland Browns, and this is not only just for Cleveland, this is also for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, it's kind of funny that both teams in the last 48 hours, I'll say 72 hours, has fired their head coaches. Now, Tyronn Lue is no longer with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and now, just about a day later, Hugh Jackson is fired from the Cleveland Browns. Now, my brothers and sisters, now remember we used to always talk, we need to really, truly pray for Cleveland, and I feel bad for Hugh Jackson. 336-1, 40 games, he only won 3 games. I mean, I feel bad. That's worse than the Madden Online record. But, you know what? I wish Hugh Jackson the best because I think Hugh Jackson can coach. But I think they need somebody that's more aggressive and possibly younger. To me, you can't hit it in the middle. Either you're going to get a guy that's truly aggressive, that's going to come down and play physical with both sides of the ball, or they're going to have have to play with somebody that's a lot younger. So let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. So right now, Greg Williams is the interim head coach, which I actually like. Remember, Greg Williams was let this play a little bit longer. Y'all need to hear this prayer. I remember Greg Williams actually was the defensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints during the bounty gate. Now, granted, I know we was putting bounties on quarterbacks' heads, trying to take players out the game and everything like that. But you saw that led to a championship. Now, I don't think they're gonna do that no more because he still want his job. But if Greg Williams can at least give you 5-6 wins before the season ends, you can find Cleveland find themselves at least at the 7-win mark or at least at the 8-win mark, you will have to strongly consider Greg Williams as a candidate for the Cleveland job. Like, this is truly the first interview that they have with an interim coach, because I think he's going to bring an awesome attitude to both sides of the ball, and he's going to be aggressive on both sides of the ball. Now we can turn it down. Now that we got to turn that doctor down now. But we was thinking, I was watching this morning, and I wanted to come up with it, but I'm glad I saw it. Guys who could come in next season to possibly be the head coach for the Cleveland Browns. And these wasn't on the list, but they were talking about it from the college football world, was possibly Urban Meyer or Jim Harbaugh. Now, I always say, I think if the Cowboys do hit a decline, I think Harbaugh will leave Michigan and go to Dallas before Harbaugh will leave Michigan and go to Cleveland. I don't think he would want to coach probably in a division with his brother. And I don't think that Harbaugh wants to deal with something, a team that's right now, I think he can fix it because they have the physical pieces that up his par. But I think Harbaugh will go, I think he would fit better in Dallas. It was just, to me, that would represent everything that Jim Harbaugh is. Harbaugh would be a better coach in Dallas. I think because Dallas, at least at mediocrity, and you see the 49ers for them years before he came, they were at least competing and they had solid pieces. And I think Dallas do have a quiet, better defense than what people do give them. And I think if you bring Harbaugh there to add more pieces and add more perspective, and I think the only thing that will have to work is, will Jerry Jones like Jim Harbaugh and make it work together with the system? I think that would be the only type of killer that would kill this organization, probably kill that franchise. But I think the job for Harbaugh is the Dallas Cowboys if they continue to hit a decline in this season. Urban Meyer, I don't think Urban would leave Ohio State to go deal with something like that with the Cleveland Browns. And that's no disrespect to Cleveland, but once again, this man's a true winner. He's been a winner everywhere he went. And he's a very, 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 I don't think he's willing to deal with draft picks and free agency when he can go out and recruit. I don't think Urban Meyer's going to do that right now in his career. So there was some other names that came out, and there was the other day, and there was I actually got a list on my phone, and I wanted to talk about a little bit, and that was give me 1 second, guys, 1 second. Other names came out this morning. The teams or guys who they think they can help. Lincoln Riley, head coach from Oklahoma. I mean, right now he's in a good spot too. He might want to think about joining the NFL. I know his quarterback is over there with the Cleveland Browns. Kind of something just to pay attention to. Eric Burney, offensive coordinator from the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, you can really kind of use something like that with the skill sets that they have. That would be nice to have for the Cleveland Browns in the offseason. Matt Campbell, head coach from Iowa State. Iowa State's played some good ball at time this season, on and on. John DeFilippo, offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. Once again, these OCs, I think that's what they're probably more looking for, guys that's on the offensive side of the ball. Then tight ends coach from the Saints, Dan Campbell. Once again, you playing with tight ends, you play on that great offensive style of the Sean Payton and Pete Carmichael and everybody like that, so he has a lot of wisdom. Tyler Austin, defensive coordinator for the Bengals. That was the only defensive guy that they have listed. I'm so sorry. There was 2 defensive guys on this list, and Brian Flowers from the New England Patriots, linebackers coach. So I like the spots. I like the people that they have. But I think right now, I think Cleveland's just going to try to focus on trying to still see if they can find a way to to at least show a fight and an effort. I think if they lose this week, I'm for sure you can wrap them up and say that their season is over. But if they win this week and find themselves in the thick of find themselves in the thick of things for this week, I think Cleveland got to